Hello, I finally got around to making part 2 of my video for modification to my Hatsan BT65. I'd like to thank everyone who watched my first video, so let's get to it. Okay, in my last video I indicated that I wanted to make some mods to my Hatsan BT65 and made a new butt plate for it. In the last one I indicated that I wanted to make guide rods to go in the hole to trap this fastener in place, because obviously there's an aesthetic problem. I wanted to address the fact in the last video that I said that these were probably a millimeter size rod instead of a 5/16. These actually, on the calipers, these are about 314 thousandths, and that would be right at about 8 millimeters, 8 millimeters being about 315 thousandths. 5/16 is 312.5 thousandths, which makes them just a little bit too small. This slides over it. So is this an oversized 5/16 or is it an 8 millimeter? Because the 3/8 rod that I used was exactly 375 thousandths, which would be on spec. The hole in this captive fastener, which catches the rod with this screw, is about between 335 and 340 thousandths. Depending on where you measure it, it changes slightly, but it's always between 335 and 340. I also checked the holes in the buttstock that receive the rod, and they also are in the same area between 335 and 340. I got mainly 336, 337 for mine. This is the 3/8 rod I'm going to make the new guide rods out of. This actually did caliper out at 375 thousandths, which would be exact. I just picked it up at Home Depot. And I made a special jig for my bench grinder. Needed something precision to get this ground down. I'm sure it would be a lot nicer to do it on a metal lathe. Don't have one. A lot of you probably don't. But just about everybody has, a bench grinder. It's not that special. Everybody's got one. I did have to overcome some issues with vibration, but I think I've got it down where we can create a very acceptable end product. Through some trial and error, I found that because of the way that I did the hole, you almost need to make it the actual size in a single pass. So we're going to go ahead and make the final pass. See where we come out. Okay, you can see the finish that I was able to achieve. This is a 60 grit disc. I pulled the other disc so I had clearance for my hands. The lead in right here is a little bit smaller because I don't have a double lock on this. Just the design, version number 2, but obviously we need a redesign. It probably pushed it back just a little bit, and possibly some slight wear on the wheel. Dial caliper put it at about 334 thousandths. I severed the ground down piece from the hole, and just want to show you it does fit. It's got plenty of clearance. Again, I did turn this down on the grinder to about 334 thousandths. It is fairly concentric as well, probably within about a thousandth and a half. So I did check it in the butt of the gun, and got good clearance there. I decided I wanted to clean up the finish on it, so chucked it in the drill press. Got a sanding block that I actually used for something else. Got some 80 grit on it, and I'm going to go ahead and I finished it with the 60 grit on the sanding block. I took it down since I need 2 pieces, so obviously I cut about 4 inches. Each one of the original ones about 1 7/8, so we're just going to make 2. Okay, I've got my two pieces. I squared them up best I could on the grinder, and now I'm going to chuck them in the drill press and just use a file to go ahead and kind of chamfer over the edges, clean them up so they're not sharp. And here we've got our finished guide rods. We'll go ahead and check them. They are fairly concentric. We've got some slight variation. See, this one's sitting right around 333, 334. So it did come out relatively well. And of course, for the moment of truth, go ahead and drop in. And now all we need to do is reinstall the butt plate.